I'm so upset. It wasn't recording.
All right, all right, all right, all right. Let's do this again. Deep breath.
Do I look fat?
All right. Hey guys, this is the Do I Look Fat podcast. This is your girl Steffi Kiss. This week I am joined by a fellow Bronxite, entrepreneur, and awesome mama, Stephanie from One Blue Heart at a Time. Hey boo, how are you?
Hi, guys. Thank you so much for having me on your show, Steffi. Not only do we have so many things in common, but we also have the same name
Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
to add to
Um
the list.
so many things. So we've been talking for a while now. I've taken a lot of your time and I know you have a busy day, but it's
It's
okay.
okay.
It's okay. We're here to talk and we're here to provide information for our
Yes.
listeners, right? Tell my listeners what your organization One Blue Heart at a Time is.
One Blue Heart is a nonprofit organization advocating for children with autism. We are based in the Bronx, and pretty much one Blue Heart at a time. It's something that I started to build a legacy for my son, and it has become something so much bigger. I have influenced and supported so many moms and dads, and they have done so much for me as well. And One Blue Heart at a Time goal is to not only spread awareness, but to also inclusion. We want our children to be able to have a social life, places that welcome them, places that cater to their needs. And with One Blue Heart at a Time, what we're showing is that our kids could go to Six Flags, could go to Sesame Place, could be swimmers, could play basketball, could do baseball,
Mhm.
could do all these things on a scale of their limitations, right?
Right.
So One Blue Heart at a Time on a bigger scale wants to become like a boys and girls club for children on the spectrum, which doesn't
Mhm.
exist, right? Like you had said earlier, Steffi, there are places that do provide services, activities, social activities for children, but it's usually 2 times a week and
Mhm.
are very expensive and very far. So
Right.
that's the mission of One Blue Heart at a Time. One Blue Heart at a Time is mission is to have inclusive programs for children, social activities programs for children, because all pretty much they give our children is speech, OT. There's nothing
Mhm.
fun for them to do.
At
And
all.
autistic people are humans, right? The same way
Mhm.
you need a break and you need cocktail night with your friends. Our kids need a day of swimming. Our kids need a day of,
Exactly.
doing certain things. And it all falls in together. And I think that as my son grew older, I saw the lack of programs for that, and that's
Mhm.
why I started One Blue Heart at a Time. Another reason why.
It's almost like they fall off the map too, right? Like
Yes, as they
once
get
they
older,
turned
yes,
like 12 years old, there's nothing else for them, or at least
there's
nothing
nothing.
really stimulating. You know, I don't know if you've actually seen any of these like respite programs, but they're really just there on their iPad, like the same thing
They're
they would be doing if they were home.
they're terrible locations, terrible
Mhm.
buildings. Is like literally, a nail salon looks better than that
Right.
place. There's nothing there. There's not like a sensory gym for them to work out. There's
Mhm.
no treadmill. There's no nothing. Not even like a nice backyard. And to
Right.
me, like it's sad, and our children are. It's really sad. It's sad.
I've followed your organization for quite some time. You know, we're from like the same areas. We've grew up in like the
Thank
same
you.
circles and things like that. So I've been following you for quite a while. You've been a great resource for me. So when you actually posted the swim program Reach, I was ecstatic. Like Ethan loves to swim. Swimming is his thing. It's his passion. I really feel like. I really feel like Ethan that's what's gonna take him where he needs to go. You know how people feel
Amazing.
like academically, like, oh, like my kid is gonna get like whatever. I feel like swim could be his thing. Like he
His
really loves
thing.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
And when
Same
you
thing I
posted it,
feel
I
with
was
Bash.
very
Yep.
yeah, I was very much excited. And it's like to have something, you see your friends and you see their kids and you see them, going to baseball games, you see them going to basketball games, you see them doing this and you see them doing that, and you're just like, you feel like you're not a part of
Like your
it.
kid is missing out.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's like
Mhm.
forget me being a part of it. Like I feel like my son is missing out on so many more
Right.
things. Like I say often, and I got criticized for this, and that's okay. When you put your life publicly,
Right.
people are gonna have their opinion. I don't expect everyone to agree with me, but I'm gonna
Mhm.
stick to my, like, I live with a broken heart. I autism is fucked up. I could
Yes.
sit here and tell you all these great things, but it's fucked up. It's
Mhm.
fucked up that my son has it, and I'm very angry about it. And I was very angry with God for a long time, right? I I forgive him, but
Yeah.
you know what I'm
No.
saying?
This
I
is real
was,
life.
and it's real shit, and
Mhm.
I question my faith, a lot, like why this, why my son, he's so like, everything, and when I knew I was gonna have a boy, I had that envision, right? Like I'm
Mhm.
gonna be such a sports mom. I'm gonna be this, and my life switched, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with
Right.
my reality. I'm at peace with it, and I'm making the best that I can for him. And once I reached that milestone, and I started One Blue Heart at a time, it's like it's such a reward to be able
Mhm.
to have moms like you and other moms. It's like, yo, I was so depressed and you posted this, and I'm like, you know what? I gotta get up and get my shit together. And
Yeah.
that's what it's all about. You know what I'm saying? It takes a village.
Definitely. Because we don't. There's no blueprint for us. When Ethan was diagnosed, he was about 2.5 going on 3, and I'm sure you can relate. We've spoken about this already because of technical issues, but when he was diagnosed, that many years, it's going on 10 years, nobody was talking about autism like that. And if they did, it was like what you saw on TV. So it was a kid that didn't leave the house. It was a kid that was put into like a respite. I know now it's called respite, but like a home or something. You know what I'm saying? Like these are things that you saw on TV. We didn't talk about it. It wasn't as popular, quote unquote, as it is now. And it was heartbreaking. Like you said, it was heartbreaking. My sister had started a blog a while ago, and she had wanted me to write an excerpt for it. And it was literally like, I compared me finding out about Ethan's diagnosis to the 5 stages of grief. So like,
Mm,
girl,
that's powerful.
because I really felt like I
I
went through
posted
it.
something like that the other day. Some mom wrote like, having a kid with diagnosis is like grieving, and it
Mhm.
is.
Mhm.
So it's funny you mentioned that.
Yeah, because you're grieving almost the child that you had thought, or the life that you thought you were going to have.
Yes.
The blueprint that you set for yourself when you were 10, 11 years old. Like you've been thinking this way, conditioned to think this way for so long. And once that's yanked from you, and you still have to acclimate to your child's needs now. So it's not like it was, and not to say that, your kid being yanked from you is easier than having an autism kid. I'm not saying that. But to have to deal with the grief and also have to do what's best for your kid and not have to, whew, I'm getting hot just thinking about it, and not have to think about hating yourself for not doing too much because maybe you were grieving, and having to forgive yourself and blaming yourself
And
for the
what you could have
diagnosis
done
and period.
differently. Yeah. And the list goes on, of things that you could do. I'm very hard on myself. Even with One Blue Heart at a time, I always feel like I'm
Mhm.
not giving enough. Like I should have had more scholarships. I should have posted more. I should have done more
Mhm.
lives. Like, and I'm a one-person team now,
Right.
and I have other businesses and I have other stuff going on. But I understand completely what you're saying. I think about things like, and I had such a happy pregnancy, right? I was
Mhm.
so freaking happy, right? And then, I grieved. I lost his father when he turned 2.
Mm.
His father passed away,
My
and then,
condolences.
thank you. A year later, Sebastian gets diagnosed. So that stage of my life. And then 2 years later, I come into the nightlife. And then
Mhm.
Instagram happens and Twitter. And I'm supposed to be like this eye candy girl who has like this perfect life. Mind you, I'm coming from work at 5:30 in the morning to take a 2-hour shower so I don't fall asleep. So this kid could be in the bus, for me to then argue with a bus driver that I don't like how he looked at my kid, because I
Oh
was
boy.
so angry. I
Yeah.
was so angry. You
And they
couldn't
make
do
it
the
so easy for you to go off.
Oh, Oh, and forget about being okay. Pick up at 7:15, and I'm still outside to 7:45 with a child who's newly diagnosed, and I
Mhm.
couldn't. So then now goes the cab situation, right? Because I wasn't driving at that time. Now is that right? Because even if I was driving, I wasn't gonna drive at that time from work. I could have fallen asleep on the wheel. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like whatever. So, moving forward, it was hard, and I tell a lot of my followers now, like before I was public about it, nobody knew but my closest
Mhm.
friends and my mom and my sister, obviously.
Right.
But no one knew, and it wasn't because I was ashamed of it. It's because I wanted my son to have a fair chance of not losing his identity behind his condition. I
Right.
didn't want people to just meet Sebastian and be like, oh, he's autistic. No, his name is
Right.
Sebastian. He's a little boy and he has autism, right?
Mhm. He's
So
not autist. He's not autism. He just has it.
Right. So,
Mhm.
it's all those things that you're talking about. And yes, I was sad. I was this, but, I had to keep pushing. I had so much great support from my mentors in the nightlife. I got to call them that because they trained me to be, for people still wanting me to run their business and do different things. That's a whole different conversation. But
Right.
they were so supportive of me. And even when I was wilding out and arguing with girls, I was just mad. Hurt
Mhm.
people. I
Mhm.
was mad and because they never gave up on me and they knew what I was going through, I was able to do the reach, right? I was able to make the IEP meetings. I was able because my schedule was the nightlife. So
Right.
for like
And we're going to
from
get into all of that, Stephanie. We're going to get into all of that. Okay. So before we get into, because that's a whole topic within itself that I want to dive into, right? So before we do
really.
that, yes, girl. Yes. Okay. Um, so I want you to give someone with a new diagnosis, right? Their child is newly diagnosed. What tips would you give them to get through it? Doesn't have to be resources specifically, it can be mentally, emotionally, anything having to do with family. What tips would you give?
To get through it, I don't really have a specific tip because you're going to have different challenges throughout the
Mhm.
rest of their life. What I could tell you is it's okay to be angry, it's okay to be sad, it's okay to cry, if you need to, but you need to put your bigger panties on or your big boy boxes on, right? Um, and you have to step up and you have to be strong. You have to whatever it is that helps you cope, whether it's writing in a journal, whether it's meditating. If your family is not anybody who is not accepting of this new diagnosis and anybody that does not bring something positive, I don't care who they are, cut them out of your life completely.
Mhm.
Your child feeds into your energy. When you are
Yes.
on ease, they're going to be on ease, especially if your child is nonverbal. He goes by energy. Also,
Oh,
for my
yes.
newly diagnosed moms, try to keep a record. I'm a writer. I have like 75 different journals for different things. Like it's crazy.
Same.
I have to write things down for them to be real, right? In my brain, that's how I process it, right? I always say that everyone has like a little bit of autism in them. So for me to process it, I have to. So I want you, which is something I wish I did. When Sebastian started showing the signs of delay, um, start monitoring what your child ate that day, the type of lighting you had, if you change your detergent in their clothes, what's triggering their stronger senses to make them to trigger them to have a meltdown.
Right.
And you will find little things like what we will think, especially new diagnosed mom, where you think, oh no, he's just being like malcriado,
Mhm.
that means like spoiled or whatever.
Right.
No, he's not, or she is not. So
Mhm.
if you could start, like, that's before even dealing with the therapy and everything, this is just from home. If
Yep.
you could start figuring out what that is, you could start eliminating things that will trigger him into him learning how to adapt to those situations in real life. Because
Mhm.
one thing with my son was that I was like, I cannot condition him to not adapt to real life because my son will be
Right.
an adult, and unfortunately one day I'm going to be old.
Mhm.
um
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I
No,
have
but
to.
that's a thing. Not being around for your kid. I don't know about you, but that's a fear of mine. I had read something on some board, some autism board or something, and it was like um my worst fear is dying and my kid and not having me around. Like that is crazy
Yeah, like my that's my worst fear, but also this is why I go so hard more than
to
I do
prepare.
academically. And don't, this is, I'm not telling you not to focus on academics for your child. I have to say,
Mm-hmm.
for legal reasons, that's not what I'm advising you. But for
Right.
me, right now, where Sebastian is at, not when he was newly diagnosed, but at 14, is important for my son to know how to dress himself, take a proper shower,
How to live
and his
life.
hygiene. Right. And I'm teaching him little things, how to prep little meals and understand when he's hungry, what to do, what not to. You understand? So
Mm-hmm.
those are my goals right now. And that's why I said, when your question was, how do they like overcome it? Was it that you asked me or something
Right.
like that? You never
Get
overcome it,
through it.
because
Right.
every age group is a different challenge, is a different adjustment, because
Mm-hmm.
their condition is not what normal life is set up for us to be, like the 9 to 5,
Right.
the work, the this. Their brain is not it's not prepared for that. We have to do that. We
Mm-hmm.
have to kind of make, life efficient for them in their
Exactly.
own brain. Yeah.
Exactly, because that's what the goal is for them to live life, right? For me right now, it's for him to have a day-to-day, a routine, for him to know how to be as independent as he possibly
Yes.
can be,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Because, he was diagnosed with this. I know there are some limitations, right? There's always going to be some sort of limitations. I just want to get him to the point where he's comfortable and able to do things himself. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's where I am now. And I was on another podcast recently, and she asked me. She's obviously someone who doesn't have any kids with autism. She doesn't even know any kids, like, for real,
Wow.
with autism, right? So she was like, tell me, like, what is it for you? And I said, here's the thing with kids with autism: everyone's situation is different. There's no my as much as our situations may sound alike, it's only because we're dealing with so many external things that are the same. PT, OT, school, society, all of that is the same. But you and your kid, what happens in your home is different for everybody. And you
Yep.
have to really, my tip would be to not compare your kid to anyone. There's a reason why it's a puzzle piece, right? It's because it's the only one. It's literally the only one that fits in that spot, right? So your kid is the only one. And to go back into school, and again, I agree with you 100%. School is not my priority. Reading, math, and arithmetic, or whatever it is, reading, writing, arithmetic is not my focus with him. Yeah, I want him to know the letters, numbers, the basic shit. But as far as like science and world history and all, I don't care. I'm I don't care. I need him to focus on getting his thoughts out. I need him to focus on comprehension. Yes, I need him to know like money and things like that. Can we focus on that stuff? Because I feel
Yeah.
like, because they see he's 11, Bash is 14, they're like, "Oh, well, it's time for us to introduce more academically challenging things." But it's like, we still haven't really mastered this stuff yet. So how about we just stay over here for a little
Yeah.
while? So to get back to what I was saying on the podcast, to me, Ethan's autism journey is really a delay. I look at him
Mm.
now and I see him, he's growing, he's taller than me, he's a grown man, right? But I see him learning wise, and just the way I talk to him and he understands me now is that of someone who is, or a child who is like 5, 6 years old. When like you sit them down and they look at you, and they're like, "Oh shit, like I know what you're saying, like I get it." I didn't get
Mhm.
that before. It's like when you talk to
Mhm.
a toddler and you're like, "Hey, how was your day today?" And they're like, like, but it's because he was so big, people would just think he's zoned out completely. But it's that there's so much going on. He might have a delay in processing. I don't know what the science is, but to me,
Yeah.
looking at my kid, this is what I see, right? And yesterday, because I had mentioned to you today, I'm busy, right? I was late, I
Mhm.
had technical issues, like it was a crazy day for me today, right? So I sat him down yesterday when he got home from his dad's house, and I was like, "Listen, tomorrow we're doing this. We have swim. We're going to see Florencio at Reach Swim today. We have swim. Then Titi's gonna come over. She's gonna take your pictures, and I have to do your hair. And tomorrow we're going to the park, and we're doing." And I literally sat there and told him everything, listed it, and he literally looked at me the entire time and understood what I was saying. And
Wow.
girl, I literally,
That
at
was
the end
big.
of it, I was like misty eyed. Like I couldn't believe
Yeah.
that he was literally understanding
Taking
what
the
I was saying.
information in and processing it. Yeah. It's
And it's
amazing,
little
and
things
it
like
gets
that.
it's only and and it's only gonna get better as they get
Mhm.
older because you're doing the right thing, right? You're doing you're setting up a schedule for him, you're setting up goals, and you have him in a routine. He's exercising because he's swimming once a
Mhm.
week. He's releasing all that energy that he can process, and you're setting up goals for him, his priorities that adjust to your lifestyle,
Right.
that that he needs to do, like, transitioning to Florida, doing all this other stuff. So,
Mhm.
I condone you doing a great job. And then, like you
Thank you.
said, every child is different. Like for Sebastian, to compare to this point, it is
Mhm.
like I can't tell him no more than three things at a time,
Mhm.
because it might trigger him to be like, ah, like,
Right.
um, but if he knows, like, as soon as, he knows when we're getting dressed, he knows, I'm on the go. So he's always with me. But if I was to tell Sebastian, like, okay, today we're doing swimming, once I'm getting him ready for swimming, then I'll be like, after this, we're going to go to the restaurant. So, like,
Right.
to go to her point, even though our sons are so similar, love the water, right? Come from a
Mhm.
single mom household, our sisters are like their second moms. Like,
Yeah.
we have almost the same support system, like she
Right.
said. Things are processed different for each child. And that's when, going back to also what you said, we have no blueprint, because it's not like, okay, this is how we treat it because this is the statistic. There cannot be no statistic on what worked
Mhm.
for what child, because all of them are different.
Mhm.
So it's definitely.
And it's great that one blue heart at a time, just to go back to your organization, because I really want to stress, guys, a lot of my listeners are in New York, so I really want to stress this organization because it is a great one. Okay.
Thank you, thank
No,
you.
it's amazing because
Mhm.
you mentioned earlier, and I don't know if this caught on this recording, but a lot of kids on the spectrum are overweight. They don't have any resources to exercise, or
To
if they
burn that
do,
energy,
there's
yeah.
nothing, especially living in the city, because where everything has to be organized, right? Like, yeah, you can take your kid to the park, yeah, you can do this and do that, you can, yes, but also, what are you doing when you're getting there? Are you doing things that are good for your kid? Because my son, he has problems walking sometimes. He toe walks, right? So, certain things, which is why swimming is amazing for him, because he doesn't have to worry about that. And, so in New York, there's no pools. Like, if I didn't find
And
Reach,
the parks are closed 9 months out of the year. Like,
and you have to have a membership. And then these pools, they're so loud because everything is enclosed. So Ethan has a sensory with hearing too. For his 10th birthday, he loves the water, right? I only threw him his first birthday party and then his 10th birthday party. All of those other ones, I wasn't throwing
you
him
went
parties
away.
because he didn't like it. He didn't like going
Yeah.
to other
I
people's
stopped.
parties. Why am I throw him and people, I don't think a lot of my friends understood that growing up, because things that I
Hmm.
would do, it would just be me and him, because
Hmm.
if he's not gonna have
You
fun,
know,
why am
and
I
that's
gonna?
okay. And
It's
that's another
okay.
tip for new diagnosed mom. It's okay to reject. It's not okay to bring your child to a place that's gonna make him uncomfortable. It's okay to say
Yes.
no, we can make it, or to leave him
Mhm.
behind. There's many a birthday party Sebastian didn't go through. To
Mhm.
go to a little bouncy house in a hole and loud music. No, that have he's used to the loud music already, because my mom made
Right.
sure of that. But you know what I mean?
But everything else, everything else.
Yeah, he couldn't do that. So, I would still show, like, if it was a close, I would go, but I wouldn't go with Bash, and it was because
Mhm.
of that. Now, if you're doing something at a jumpy house or something, like, whatever it's called, bounce or whatever, bounce you or something like that,
Mhm.
yeah, we'll
Mhm.
go to that, because he'll be in his own little world, and yeah.
Right. Right. But that probably came with age too. I'm sure when he was little.
Oh no,
And that's the thing.
no.
Like, parents, don't limit your kids just because this is something I had to learn, right? I had to realize that he's able to endure more now that he's older, because
Yes.
I am protective. I'm like, no, he doesn't like the sounds. We're not going anywhere. Like, I'm not doing it. He's just going to be upset and it might mess up the whole week for him. You know what I'm saying? That one experience can mess up a whole week of of
Hmm.
of his behavior. And
Yes.
now I have to realize that I can introduce things little by little,
Yes. Yes.
because he does want, I see him now, he goes to the park and he's looking at kids. He's not talking to them, obviously, because he's nonverbal. He's not
Hmm.
really trying to play with them, but I see him noticing them now. And that's
You
something
know
that he
what was
wasn't doing before.
you know what was one of the hardest things? Like when kids would come up to me, like, why he's not playing with me? Why he doesn't
Oh.
want to talk to me? And I'll be like, he is. You just have to do like this, right?
How many?
Yeah.
Okay, this might be a hot take, Stephanie, but how many times did you want to like punch a little kid in their face?
Sometimes a lot. Like I'll be them like, why are you looking at? Like, don't look at him. But I keep, it's the back, which I hate to say this too, like, he doesn't have a visible disability, right?
Right.
So when he was a lot bigger, let's say 8, and maybe he was still acting like a 3, 4 year old, and he didn't want to
Mhm.
do the big kid toys yet. And he'll
Right.
be in the little one, the little girls, wanted to be like, oh, why he's not talking to me? And I'm like, oh, because you just have to show him and point what he wants to do, because he has limited speech, is what I was
Mhm.
saying. And
Mhm.
they'll be like, okay, and then they'll be like, look, swing, and they'll take him. Kids, if they're being
If
um
they're taught the right
being
thing.
if they're being raised in a household that it's not a household that's raising them with hate, they
Mhm.
will be nice about it, but with a child that's bullying or mean, that comes from the parents
Mhm.
110%, or the
Mhm.
environment they're in. But I do want to say that I did have I was getting emotional talking about this. I put him in summer camp for the YMCA in Castle Hill, and they have
Mhm.
it's expensive. They
Yeah.
have the swimming program is expensive because they swim twice a day, in the morning to start their day and right before the ends, right?
Okay.
But it's an inclusive program, and it's kids on the spectrum and on the spectrum. And I was terrified. I don't know what to do. Even the day that I got there, I was so they for me to feel comfortable, because I was like shaking. I was like, I don't want these kids to be mean to my son. Like,
Right.
who's gonna help him change clothes when he's wet? Like, I don't want them to like look at his body parts and be mean. Like, I just
Mhm.
don't want to. They're like, Miss, you need to come down. You're doing a lot right now. And here's a 1-to-one for him, and he did great. He
Mhm.
did so
That's
good, and it was an
amazing.
8-hour program of, he didn't win the games or the
Right.
challenges or whatever, but he participated, and it was great. So also, don't be afraid to let go a little bit,
To
because
let go.
sometimes
Yeah.
we hold them. But that
Mhm.
was a great experience that I had.
Definitely. Ethan, we usually do the YMCA, the 92nd Street Y. So it's not the YMCA, it's
Mm,
the 92nd Street Y. They have a very good program for kids on the spectrum. He's been in it since he was 5. This is going to be his last summer because he ages out at 12. So it actually works
of
out that we're
course.
leaving. So, because I love
Yeah.
this. I love this program. It's just very expensive. They do offer scholarship programs as well.
You
Um,
have to apply like 6 months in advance, which I always forget.
Right. At least, yeah,
Mhm.
at least 6 months. Usually it's a year. I mean,
Mhm.
there's an interview process and all that to make sure that he fits the program, which is another thing because there's so many programs that they say are for kids on the spectrum, and for yes they are, but a kid on the spectrum high functioning and a kid who is not are two very different things. And just because they're servicing high functioning kids only, I feel like you should definitely say that before we go to open houses, before we take time off to go anywhere. Because listen, I was working full time, which is why I want to get into your work life too, because it was so different. But all of these programs they say, and even schools, charter schools, like when I'm looking for all of these alternates, when I was looking for all of these alternate schools for Ethan here, they were like, oh, this charter school takes kids on the spectrum, this charter school, none of
Girl,
them
I
are for
know.
my kid. None of them.
None. Yeah.
It's
That's why I
it's
had to sue the Board of Ed. That's
it's
what I had to do.
horrible. It's
It's
horrible.
horrible. And before really, I want to say also for newly diagnosed, because I feel like that's the hardest stage, right? Whoever is going to listen to this, and you can always DM me and ask me any questions.
Mhm.
Um, I lost my train of thought. I want you ladies to know that it gets better, but not only does it get better when it comes to these schools,
You had
again,
mentioned
don't settle.
exaggerating
Yeah,
your
don't
kids being
settle. I had
noticed.
like
Don't
a
settle.
great thought and I just lost it. Don't settle. Make sure you read your IEP goods. Don't settle for programs. Don't settle for people that are not accurate, adequate to teach your children. Um, and make sure that you get your child in the right placement at the right age. The earlier, the better.
Early
I really
intervention is
want
very important.
and get the most that you can. Don't be afraid to just I didn't let him officially get diagnosed till he was like 5 or 6, and I wish I
Mm-hmm.
would have done it at 3. Like I wish when he started showing the delays, because he did all his milestones until the age of 3.
All right.
So in my opinion, I feel my son had a reaction to a vaccine, or maybe
Right.
the autism was just taking a little time to show. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know.
Right.
We'll never know. But I really wish he would have gotten more of it.
Okay, so Bash didn't do early intervention because Ethan was in school since he was about 3 years old. Ethan's
He
been in
did
school.
early intervention. I just let them do speech as a delayed in speech. So I didn't let
Oh,
them diagnose him with autism when he was getting everything else. So I just had like a speech therapy for
okay.
early
Because
intervention.
I'm just the only reason I'm asking is because what they told me was that they couldn't diagnose Ethan with autism until he was 5. That's what they told me.
Mm,
So I
mm.
don't know if they were just trying not to give me everything that they were supposed to be giving
Maybe
me.
because, I think you might be right in certain cases. Again, it all depends on who you get and who
True.
wants to do the paperwork. But if our
Mm-hmm.
our children show a little bit, because if he gets diagnosed with autism, the state is paying a lot more for him at an earlier
Mm-hmm.
age. And some boys are delayed, do speak later than thing. But if they see him walking, if he's already potty trained, if he's doing certain functions, then they'll be like, okay, maybe it's
Right.
just delayed. Let's start with speech first. The person I got was like, okay, I really see an eye disconnection and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, wait, you people love to put labels on kids. That was my experience.
Oh, okay. Okay. I see what you're saying. So your tip would be to just go back to what you had said before the recording had officially started. But you had said to basically if they say something is wrong, run with it to get the services because it's better to get more services and take it back than to try to request more services as time goes on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Exactly what I'm trying to say. Like,
Mhm.
make sure you get help with your IEP. Make sure you reread it. Don't be afraid to, have them rewrite it. Take your time waiting for the right program. Go visit these places. Make sure you ask if you could come and observe a class before your kid walks in there,
Mhm.
especially if they're not nonverbal. Make sure
Yes.
that if you could say that you could have a 30-minute talk with whoever's going to be his one-to-one,
Mhm.
to explain the needs, label everything, pack everything, and most importantly, any complaint and anything, make sure it's in an email, because when it comes down to it,
Yes.
they're never going to admit to doing nothing.
At all. Hey guys, if you have been thinking about starting a podcast or your current podcast needs a little help, I have the solution for you. Today's show is brought to you by Idea to Launch Academy, the only multicultural podcast academy that to date has helped launch over 500 podcasts. Anyone can launch a podcast, but it takes work and a solid foundation to have a profitable and successful podcast that stands out from the rest. You can Google how to start a podcast and publish it, but then who's gonna listen? When I started my podcast journey a little bit over a year ago, the best decision I made was to actually enroll in the Idea to Launch Academy. It provided me with not only all of the tools I needed to successfully upload my podcast to these streaming services, but Carla also helped me narrow down my niche. She helped me with my artwork during our consultation call. It was just I needed an editing eye, right? This is my first time doing anything like this, and enrolling in Idea to Launch was the best decision I made. And who's Carla, you ask? Carla Wilmaris, the CEO and founder of Idea to Launch, has put together a course that will help you take your podcast from idea to launch in 30 days with her 5-phase formula that helped her reach over 100,000 downloads in less than a year without a social media presence or any tech background. In the course, you learn how to come up and refine your podcast topic, artwork, recording, editing, marketing, and so much more. Also, when you are a part of the course, you become part of a community of podcasters that all help and inspire each other. I'm one of them, guys. So if you ever need any help, you can reach out to me for sure. Use the link in the description to enroll in the Launch Your Podcast in 30 Days 2.0. Let them know I sent you and get the Instagram 101 crash course for free. Enrollment is now open. at all.
right? So
And
all
make
those
sure
things are gonna
everything is
save
in
you.
writing. And just to give my listeners a little background, because we keep on saying IEP, that is an individualized education program. So it's basically a plan that your child gets evaluated, and they let them know, well, he needs these services, these are his goals, and things like that that they plan on reaching. So it's individualized because every kid is different. And
And with that being said, they don't look when you go submit or apply to a program for your child, they don't look at your child first. They
mm-mm.
first look at the IEP. And also, I didn't know this till like literally 2 years ago. You don't have to do yearly IEPs. You could break them down 3 months, 6 months, do short
Really?
term goals. Yes. You could request your school that you want to revisit the goals every 3 months and say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, you know what? We have 3 months working on this. Have we progressed 10%, 15%, 75%? We're not. What do we need to redo to reteach this goal? What's
Mm-hmm.
happening that we're not progressing? Even if you progress 5, 10%, small things for autism parents is huge, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
if he's stuck at the same thing and you've been working on this for 3 months, this is where you say, I want to reevaluate what we did and how let's change the way we're teaching this goal. And I
Mm-hmm.
just learned that because why do you have to wait for a whole year for you to see, okay, he didn't complete this goal. This is what we did, and he just didn't do it. Really? So you taught him for 12 months and you didn't see no progress.
Right.
So I just learned that. Like you could have
Interesting.
3 to 6 months retouch your IEP and be like, okay, so in all the work and the homework, especially now that everything is virtual, that's one
Mm-hmm.
of the good tips on it. You can monitor what grades they're giving him, what are they doing. You listen to how
You're
these people are
there.
teaching their kids, right? You see how much they're putting in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a gift and a curse because I'm like, okay, so it's from 12 to 12:30. You're ended at 10 minutes earlier. Why?
Right. Yeah. Oh. Oh
Put him
yeah.
a video. You know what I mean? Do something, but finish at 12:30. But
Mm-hmm.
so
And
those are
don't be
some tips.
scared. Don't be scared to fight for what you want on the IEP as well. Ethan has, he has a lot of sensory issues. So writing was a big, like, it was hard for him. He doesn't like to put pressure on the paper, even holding the pencil. Like, it was difficult for him. But he can text and he can type and he can. So I told his teachers, I said, listen, if you want to give him more, difficult and challenging work, me fighting with him with a pencil is not going to be it, because we're going to spend more time with me, getting him to put pressure on the paper or trying to trace a line. But if you want him to answer math questions, I suggest we do it typing and get some type of device,
Hmm.
because he can do it that way. You want to
And
see
they
how
did.
well he can do. Yeah. And now that's part of his
Amazing.
IEP, where, okay, yes, we're not really focusing, so because on his IEP was literally focusing on writing, and I'm like, okay, we need to get this out of here, because that's not a goal for me. It's not a goal, and you have to be realistic with your goals for your kid.
Yes. Let me give you an advice. Have you tried the pencil for the pen for the iPad?
He doesn't like, it's holding, it's even just holding it
Oh,
is a problem.
he doesn't
So he
like
can
it.
trace it and all of that, like on an
With his
iPad
finger?
with his
Yeah, yeah,
finger. It's literally
yeah.
just
Got it.
holding the pencil.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
It's fine. So you found a way for it to make it work though.
I mean, everything, people rarely write now anyway.
Yeah.
Everything is and this is, and like you said, is a gift and the curse. And just to get into what I wanted to talk about with, career wise and work wise and being an autism mom, right? Um, the COVID basically forced me to quit my job. I have been working full time since I was 19 years old. Nine
Wow.
to five, Monday through Friday. And if you know, and I'm sure you do, all the programs, all of the therapies, all of everything is during business hours. So if I'm not home, anything having to do with the schools, any lectures, anything, any meetings, it's always 11 o'clock on a Wednesday, 2 o'clock on a
Hmm.
Thursday. I couldn't do that. And that was very
Hmm.
difficult for me. And I feel like, and this is me, looking back, and we've mentioned this time and time again, blaming myself, like, should I have quit my job? Because I quit my job in August. It is now May. Ethan has improved so much in those, it's not
Mm.
even a year. And, could it be that he's also older and able to grasp concepts better?
Yes.
And, maybe I was supposed to quit at this time because now is when he
No,
needs me. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. But also too, let's think about the comfort of him learning from home. That could
Mhm.
have been it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
That could have been it too. So go ahead.
There's so many things. So I just wanted to talk because you had a different experience from me. You know, you worked the nightlife, right? How was that for you? And, you know, waking up and having to go to the school and dealing with, like you said, the bus drivers or the teachers and the
It was
aides.
emotionally draining. It wasn't any easier. I was in a no sleep. I was triggered. I was at school, and another, my one to one is my respite from that school. Used to be like, girl, when you used to walk in there, we used to hate her. Here comes this one with her big butt and her see through ties and still her mascara from last night. Yes, the fuck, yes. So where is Ms. Umbrano? Where is she? Because we gotta talk.
Mhm.
That and
Mhm.
I was just so yo, Steph. I was so angry. I think about it now because now I was like, okay, all right, so let's sit down. How could we work this? Oh, it was awful. It was emotionally draining, but my schedules did help me show up for him.
Mhm.
Right. My schedules did help me to be more, Janice was a lot younger. That's my sister.
Mhm.
And my mom, my mom, she still at that time was giving him fish oil,
Mm.
forcing fish oil on him. She said, it's going to get better. It's going
Yeah,
to
yeah,
get
yeah.
better. So, it was just me, I told you his dad passed away. So, I didn't have no option, but because of my job, I was able to be at every meeting and to be more hands on. But by the time that 6 o'clock came, I was exhausted for him.
Right.
So that balance of maybe you having more of a patience, because you
Mhm.
were getting certain amount of sleep, I didn't have that for him, and we were
Yeah.
both suffering through that, right?
Mhm.
And on top of that, I just didn't work like a regular nightlife job. At that time, I was having like this whole where I was hosting in Miami, I was doing this, I was doing that, and I had
Yeah.
to keep this, get my makeup every night and deal with customers and have this thing. And sometimes I was broken
Mhm.
inside, I feel like I still am. So it was difficult. It was a difficult stage for me, but because of the people that I was blessed, to work for. They were very understanding with me. They never fired me. They understood when sometimes I would get there at 11 o'clock because I had to make sure Bash go to bed because he was having a tantrum that night. Anything I needed, they were there and supported for me. So 5 years later, after his diagnosis, I started One Blue Heart at a time, and then it's all history from there.
Yeah. So let me ask you something, and this may be personal. How was dealing with social media? So being a mom, right? And doing what you did at the time, right? Cuz now it was normalized, but you guys were like, from what I remember, social media was new, right? So you guys were like the first ones to really be, your name was Sexy Steffi, or is Sexy Steffi on Instagram, you know. and
Still,
and
yes.
let's not, I'm not here trying to, because y'all see my Instagram, I be out here, right? But at the
Yeah.
time, y'all were really the first ones to do it. So then also have a kid with autism. How did you balance, or how did you, because I feel like people, when they see a mom, it's like, oh my God, she has to be prim and proper and soccer
Yeah.
mom. You know, how did you balance that?
So when I first started One Blue Heart at a time, a lot of people advised me, like, you can't do. I think I posted about that the other day. You can't do certain photo shoots no more. You
Mm-hmm.
can't do this. You can't show up turning up because the autism community is not going to take you seriously, right?
Right.
And I've toned it down a little bit. I am a mom of a 14-year-old, and I tone it down because of my own upbringing. And I am older now, so it's not the same thing in my 20s running around,
Right.
whatever. So as we mature, but I'm still like I still want to make it okay to be sexy. I still want to make it okay to be able to have a margarita on a Tuesday if you want to. I still,
Mm-hmm.
because that is real life. I'm not going to sit here and pretend for you guys that I did, as much as they want to belittle the bartending job
Right.
because of certain people or whatever people want to perceive from Instagram. It really helped me survive autism with my son because I had
Mm-hmm.
a good team and good people
Yeah.
behind me. So let's not judge, because I know a lot of 9 to 5 moms who have 100K careers that their coworkers won't even invite them to a birthday party because they feel like the autism is going to be a certain way. So
Mm-hmm.
please, with the judgmental shit, it's not it. And I want to be clear of that. There are awful people that go to church every Sunday. And they're the worst people in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, um the love and support was always great. I think I lost a lot of my male following once I start growing up, like covering up more and like,
Yeah.
but like the little twerking and the little stuff, I try to keep that to a minimum here and
Mhm.
there. Like if
But
somebody
not to
posts
say,
it,
but this is for Instagram, right? That's not to say
yeah,
you please, we're
don't
not
stop doing
old,
it.
right?
Yeah, I'm
Because I
still
think
outside.
people summer's summering, okay? Like, let's be clear. But it's
Hot
like
girl summer.
people assume, and this is the thing I always try to tell people, you assume that people do things because of what they post on the internet or whatever, or you assume people are a certain type of way, or you make the assumptions of people's morals and things like that because of what they post on the internet, when, like you said, there are people who go to church every Sunday, there are people who don't even have Instagram accounts, who are living wrong. Okay, as long as my child is taken care of well, as long as I am taken care of, and as long as my business is taken care of, then whatever I do is really none of your
On your
business.
free time. Correct. Correct. It's not. And it's the way, and like I said, when you are open about your truth, you
Mm-hmm.
have to take ya I'm already like the negative me rebala, like I don't even care.
It rolls right
But
off of you.
yeah, because you have to be strong-minded for that. When you're gonna put your life on social media, you have to be ready for everyone to have an opinion, and that
Mm-hmm.
includes negative opinions.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. I live my truth, and the people that matter know,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's what I want to put out there. And I feel like yeah, it was a transition. I really had to turn down a little bit though for one blue heart at a time, because when
Because it's a
corporations and
brand, it's branding and things like that. That I understand. I understand
yeah, but I
100%.
still have my birthday shoots every year. I don't care. There's stuff I
As
haven't
you
posted.
should.
But I'm definitely more, my name on Instagram, for like she was saying, is sexy Steffi, right? I was
Mm-hmm.
like a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But I love being sexy. I think women are beautiful from all colors, shapes, size, and I feel that that's self love. That's
Mm-hmm.
my way of projecting self love,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think no being a mother, being a wife, having a kid with a diagnosis, non-diagnosis, that shouldn't determine your self-love. That shouldn't determine taking that time out to do something good for yourself. A lot of
Right.
moms, I send them, I'm like, yo, take an hour and go do your nails, right?
Mm-hmm.
When any time that you can, even just that, or sit in a coffee shop and just read like your favorite magazine, your favorite show, like it's okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's
It's
okay
okay
to
to
do
take a
that.
break. It's
And
okay.
another thing I'm gonna say, the nightlife saved me from depression, even though I was angry, because
Yeah.
I was so much like glorified all the time, right? And
Right.
like, oh, and looking pretty and having to like do all these things in order to my income. That
Mm-hmm.
was my job, right? Not only to give great service, but to also keep a certain image. And that kept me from going under depressed. When you look good, you feel better from the
Yeah.
inside.
That is a fact. And I spoke on that article that I wrote, or that excerpt that I wrote, that blog post, I guess I should say. Hear me sounding like a journalist. That blog post that I wrote, where I gained 70 pounds after I found out Ethan was
Wow.
diagnosed. It was really a depressing
You were
time
eating
for
your
me.
feelings.
I was hiding away. I was not going anywhere. I was staying with my kid all the time. And when I would go out, it would be like to get drunk. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was a rough time. It was a
It
rough
was
time
rough.
in my life. Me and his father, Ethan was diagnosed 2.5. We broke up. He was 3. Like, it was a rough time. And I'm not going to say I got through it, because I'm not going to say that again. But I did get through that depression. I did. And
Yeah.
I've conquered that, I feel like, even though it is a struggle. But just to get back into taking breaks, right? So, um when your kid has autism, right? New York State offers the OPWDD program, right? Where you get Medicaid essentially for your kid, where they don't go based on your income. They basically say that your kid is separate, and it's based off of quote unquote their income, right? Um, so it took forever for me to get that, because there are learning how to go through all of that is a pain in the ass if you don't have the right Medicaid coordinator, which I didn't, because they also changed all of that too. Because in order to get a Medicaid coordinator, you still have to contact the world, and like it's hard. It's hard, guys. But I did all of that. So finally, About 2 years ago, we were finally approved, and I get a home health aide to come into the house, right? So that helps me because living in New York City, I don't have a washing machine in my house. So she does my laundry for me. I don't have to take Ethan to the laundromat. Like it helps a lot.
Amazing. You got a good one.
Right? Listen, that's the least she could do because she doesn't do anything else. And there's a
Okay.
segment in my podcast, right? And it's called Are You Dead Ass, right? So I just wanted to get into that really quickly just to finish off the episode. But I've had one after COVID, I had one home health aide, right? She was great. This Dominican girl from 207th Street, she just got here like 2 years ago. Like, she's a godsend, right? Like, and not to say that anybody else is wrong, but when it's someone from your own culture, from my neighborhood, like my grandmother lives on 207th Street, like it's just different. You know what I'm saying? She has a cariño for Ethan that I can't even explain. Like, she had
I get it.
surgery, right? So she hasn't been with us for a couple of weeks. And she still texts me all the time, like, how is he doing? They FaceTime, all of that, right? Like,
Oh,
so I feel
oh.
comfortable leaving her with my kid, even though I have cameras in the house because I did install cameras once, all of that. So once I knew somebody was coming in the house, for me to be able to step outside and do my nails, do my hair, do whatever, like go to the supermarket, I have to feel comfortable leaving my kid with you because he's not going to be able to tell me that anything went wrong, that you spoke to him wrong, that
So scary.
hit his hand away, not even bruising or anything like that, just mistreating my kid in his own house, in his sanctuary. You know what I'm saying? That's very important to me. So since she had the surgery, she hasn't been in the house. So I'm not working, so I'm not really pressed about it. You know what I'm saying? I just have to be careful when I do my nails and things like that. Has to be only when he's with his dad or whatever. But I say
Mm-hmm.
all that to say this. I am a very lenient, I don't want to say boss because I don't pay them, but I'm a very lenient client, I
Your
guess
son
you could
pays them.
say, right?
Your son pays
You're
them.
some, right. I mean,
Okay.
yes, right?
That's true.
But I'm very lenient,
And they get paid
and
very well.
they get paid very well, especially since I don't expect you to do that much. But if I tell you to clean my kitchen, why don't you sweep? Why do I have to go in there because you only cleaning the countertops? Like, that shit doesn't make any sense to me. I know for a fact this isn't how you clean your kitchen in your house. I know it's not.
Right.
There's no
And
way.
if it is,
Like,
so how did you handle it?
I had to tell her, like, I had to show her where I literally had to tell her everything step by step what I wanted her to do. Clean this, wash this, dry it, put it away. Like, it was ridiculous.
I mean, I haven't had a home aid like that, so I wouldn't. I've never had that experience, right? But I do have a lady that's like my second mom. She's been taking care of Bash for like 4 or 5 years now. She sleeps over whenever I have to be out of town if my mom's not available. Y esa señora, she even massages Sebastian Street. And our kids, or at least, yeah, my son,
Oh, no,
he's
I
in his
get
room
it.
right now.
I
They
get it.
tend for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Sebastian, all you really have to is obviously can be alone. Make sure he eats and remind him to go use the bathroom because sit there for 5 hours and won't pee. That's about it.
Mm-hmm.
So when she's here, she cleans because she's just sitting down, right?
Right.
But that's somebody I pay out of pocket and sometimes doesn't even want to charge you. She's family now.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
because my one to one from became Mr. O, what I did with him, I have no complaints. They do academic once a week, and now the new goal for the summer is twice a week they go to the gym.
That's
And Sebastian's
amazing.
doing the treadmill, he's pedaling, and he
Mm-hmm.
lasts his 30 minutes on the treadmill. That's huge.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. That is
I've posted
amazing.
videos. I'll post some more. I think it's on my page. So I don't know, how did you handle that? What do you want to do? So this is the new lady or the
This is
lady that
someone
got
who's
surgery?
temporary. And I'm real not confrontational because to me, it's like, this is extra. I got this service because, again, when I was working full time, there's no after school programs for kids, right? So for a very long
Or
time, my
no good
sister,
ones?
right, no good ones. So for a very long time, my sister would pick him up from school and stay with him until I would get home from work. But, she's getting older now. She has her own, career, life, or whatever. I had to find an alternative. So getting a home health aide was the alternative. Basically, they would come pick him up from the bus and come into the house, which is why I got cameras installed in the apartment and all of that. So when we found a good one, I was very happy. But then she had surgery, and it's like, I'm home. I don't really need you. It was really, like you said, just to have a body here with Ethan. When it was, I don't know what he's doing out there, but when it was regular times before COVID and Ethan would come home from school, I just really needed you to open the door for him, fix him something to eat after school, and sit there until I got home, because he
Yeah.
knew where his iPad was. He knew how to turn on the
A
TV.
charge
He's
it.
just going to
Yep.
sit on the couch or in his bed chilling. He's not going to bother
Yeah.
you. He's really
Yeah.
not. So the fact that I don't need that anymore, but I don't want to get rid of the services because I need them to do my laundry. I try to give
Yeah.
her, how many times a
No,
week can you do laundry? You know what I'm saying? I try to give her different things to do, but you're still not even
no,
doing it
definitely,
right.
definitely not get rid of it. But if we're gonna take the own advice that we're saying, you have to keep training her until your lady
Yeah.
comes back.
Yeah.
You have to keep telling her this is what you need to do. And you know what? I would even kind of bribe her a little bit. I'll let you live an hour later, earlier, if you finish things
Girl,
the right
but
way.
this is what I'm saying. I already do that. So to me, and this is me not
Oh,
being,
she's just lazy.
she's just
She's just lazy.
lazy. You know what I'm saying?
She's
Like,
just
because if
lazy.
it was me, if I tell you, all you have to do is do this, and that, and then you can go, and you still, like, bro, are you kidding me? I'm gonna
No,
get it done and I'm gonna
no.
do it right.
So
Not from me going behind you. Like,
is the lady gonna come after surgery?
yeah, I can't wait. It's a
Okay.
couple of weeks. So that's why
How
I'm not
long?
even like,
Yeah.
but that's
Yeah. So
my,
okay. So you're gonna get your lady back. I'm
I'm gonna
happy
get
then
my
because I was
lady
about
back.
to say
She has to come
call
back
your
so she can help me
agency.
pack. I'm gonna miss her when I'm gone. That's what I'm gonna miss.
Mm.
It's my
I
lady.
know. I feel you. It's the same thing. I'm the lady that Cecilia that I call like my second mom. Like she's definitely coming with me. I'm like, listen, I don't know. You gotta come for like 3 months
Bash is
until
gonna
I
have a
find the
whole
five of
tribe
us.
with him wherever he goes.
Because at least, like, when I'm out doing whatever I have to do, at least she
Mhm.
could be there training someone for me,
Mhm.
observing them, like being, shadowing her.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm. No, yeah, that makes perfect sense. All right, girl. I'm not gonna take so much of your time on this
and you have to
beautiful
get ready
Saturday
for
morning.
swimming.
I know. So tell my listeners where they can find you.
So, you guys, you could, to learn more about our mission and our programs and everything that we have done, you could go to one blue heart at a time.com. That is our website. On Instagram, same thing, one blue heart underscore under each name. And what else do I have? Oh, One Blue Heart Store. And to buy one of our merch, everything that we sell goes to support the swimming program in the Bronx. I take all this money and I start donating scholarships. I think I've done 6, 12. I think we've done like about 18.
Ethan was one.
Um, Ethan, oh,
Ethan
congratulations.
was one.
We love him over there. I heard about Ethan. So we do that, and it goes for a weight cost. You could order them and wear them proudly, right?
Mhm.
What else? What else? And that's pretty much it. Thank
Yes,
you so much
yes.
for having me, Steffi. I
Of
really, really appreciate it. It
course.
was so nice talking to you.
There's so
Maybe
much
we
to
could do
talk
it
about,
again
right?
soon.
Yeah,
I know we
for
could
sure.
definitely have a part two, and make sure it's recording. Okay.
Oh boy, yes, definitely. Because I feel like there were so many gems dropped in that like pre-recording part that we can definitely circle back and have you back on to discuss that as well.
I know. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe now when you finish, you could kind of go back to it, and maybe it did, maybe it didn't.
Right.
All
All
right, my
right.
love. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. So everything will be linked down below, all of her information regarding One Blue Heart at a Time. And remember, you can follow me underscore Stephy Kiss, STEPHYKISS on Instagram. And I will see you next Fine and Thick Friday. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.